Meanwhile, at the hotel, manager Seong-chil hurries through the halls and bursts into Ma's room, where Ma, who had been sleeping, is startled by his sudden arrival. The manager apologizes for the intrusion, explaining that he was worried, but Ma reassures him and reminds him of his rank in the round. Both of them agree that the round was chaotic and exhausting. Ma recalls that he managed to kill just over 430 people, and wonders what kind of beast Black Scythe must be to have killed over 700. The manager theorizes that the protagonist could be a Special Operations Service Commando or someone with similar skills, given the type of abilities he displayed. Ma is deep in thought about Black Scythe's remarkable achievements, and decides that, regardless of his unknown identity, he wants him as a comrade. He plans to ask the Prophet Min about the hero. Song-chul points out that the round unfolded exactly as Min had predicted, initially casting doubt on it, which was cleared once the round progressed. Ma agrees, recalling their meeting and what Min had told him. The manager asks Ma how to proceed with the Prophet, to which Ma responds that the company's future will depend on him, even if it means changing markets. He adds that there are stronger reasons to keep Min on their side, and warns Seong-chul not to offend Min, advising him to agree with everything Min says in order to earn his trust and gain fortune. Seong-chul agrees to this. Ma then requests Seong-chul to call Min and invite him and his family to a party, along with actress Arin Seo. The scene shifts to a local cafe where the hero, Min, is waiting for Juri, having invited her to lunch. When she arrives, they greet each other and get into his car. Juri tells him that she survived the 4th round thanks to his predictions, and Min asks how she trusted him so blindly. She replies that she knew he had nothing to gain from lying, and thanks him for the information he provided about round 4. Min understands that Juri, with her rune of protection, would have been capable of surviving the round on her own, unlike Arin, who he compares to a delicate flower blooming in the safety of a greenhouse. Juri, on the other hand, had to grow in the harshness of the outside world. They arrive at a restaurant, where the table is filled with a variety of dishes. She thanks Min for the lunch, and they begin eating. However, she hesitates, her thoughts consumed by the guilt of the lives she had taken during the round. Min, sensing her distress through his rune of thoughts, tells her not to blame herself for killing other players. He reminds her that everyone, including himself, had to do whatever it took to survive. Juri breaks down in tears, but Min, with a firm voice, tells her to stop, emphasizing that she has a family who waits for her to return from every game world. Imagining the grief her father would feel if she died, Juri clenches her fists, her resolve hardening. She thanks Min for comforting her, and Min explains that he wanted her to feel better by sharing a delicious meal. They continue eating, and Min notices that Juri is becoming more relaxed and casual around him. After a while, Min waits for her to calm down before getting to the point. He tells her that he has some important information about the next round he needs to share with her. Min tells Juri that round 5 will be the toughest one yet, as the player maps will merge into larger ones. Juri, concerned, wonders if they'll get to meet in the other world. Min, however, lies and tells her that it won't happen anytime soon, knowing that she would waste precious time looking for him otherwise. He wants to help her while keeping his identity hidden, so he advises her that in order to increase her chances of survival, she'll need to ask Black Scythe for help. Juri is taken aback by Min's suggestion and confirms that they're talking about Black Scythe, the player who ranked first on the world map. Min reassures her that it won't just be about asking for help, but forming an alliance with the infamous hero. Juri wonders why someone so high-ranking would even consider helping her, but Min tells her that she can cast buffs on him in exchange for his assistance. Though Juri understands the value of Black Scythe's help, she remains hesitant. Min assures her that he's seen the future, and the protagonist will continue to assist her in the upcoming rounds. Relieved, Juri thanks Min by casting a buff on him in return, as she doesn't like feeling indebted. Afterward, Min returns home. With the buff increasing his stats by 50%, Min heads out to kill mealworms, raising his rune of slaughter stats by another 100%. His luck increases to 84 stat points. He then pulls a base-tier magic crystal ticket from his inventory and contemplates how any normal human would pray to God for good results, but not him. He believes God must have created this horrific survival game just to mess with humans, and vows to wish something terrible upon God once he finishes the final round, revealing that he plans to wish for God's death. Min uses the base-tier magic crystal ticket and receives 5 base-tier magic crystals, 2 red, 1 yellow, 1 green, and 1 purple, which is the maximum number of crystals a player can receive. He's amused by the irony of having just spoken badly about God, yet his luck remains so favorable. He combines the 2 base-tier red crystals into a low-tier red crystal, a higher-level crystal. Next, he combines the purple crystal with the one Aaron gave him, creating a low-tier magic crystal. Afterward, he combines the red crystal with his hood, enhancing his damage output, and the purple crystal with his gloves of dark shadow, raising all his stats by 2 points. He then adds the yellow crystal to his ring of resistance to increase his luck, the green crystal to his agile boots to boost his speed, and finally, the navy crystal to his assassin's suit, decreasing incoming damage by 1%. Satisfied with his preparations, the protagonist feels ready to face Ma once more. The next day, Won asks his brother about the CEO of the Osung conglomerate being his son, which Min confirms, mentioning that they've been invited to a party hosted by him. Won panics, questioning if he's even allowed at such an event, but Min reassures him that they are indeed invited, adjusting his tie. Suddenly the doorbell rings, startling Won. When they open the door, they find their neighbor, Seong Cheol, standing there to escort them. Won, shocked, hides behind his elder brother. Min introduces Won to Seong Cheol, who acknowledges their previous encounter and hands Won his business card. He apologizes for his rude behavior during their first meeting and explains that the party is being held as a formal apology. Seong Cheol informs them that a limousine is waiting for them outside their apartment. Upon arriving at Ma's hotel, they are greeted by the CEO himself. Ma expresses his relief that both of them are still alive and asks if the gentleman accompanying Min is his brother. Min introduces Won formally, and Ma extends his hand for a handshake. Won, still confused, ends up shaking with the wrong hand. Ma then asks if Won is a player, to which Won declines, and Min clarifies that his brother will be turning 14 soon. Ma comments that Won is fortunate to have been spared from the game. Ma leads them into a lavishly arranged room for the party. The dining table is fit for royalty, with gourmet food on display, and both the chef and hostess are standing by to greet them. Won is in awe of the setup, so Ma tries to act humble, saying that while the food might not be a lot, it should be enough for everyone. Won, however, wonders why Ma feels the need to lie about such an extravagant spread. Just as they're about to start the meal, the door opens, and to Min's surprise, Aaron enters the room. Ma rises from his seat to welcome Aaron, who apologizes for her tardiness, explaining that she had attended a fellow actor's funeral. Ma excuses her and introduces her to Min as one of their company's shareholders. Aaron also introduces herself but pauses when she recognizes the brothers as the neighbors who had brought her rice cakes. She smiles and greets them, all the while thinking that Min being a shareholder at such a young age might be some kind of prank from Ma. Won's heart practically leaps out of his chest as he asks his brother in disbelief if they're really standing in front of the actor Aaron Seo. Min realizes that Won is blissfully unaware of Aaron's connection to Ma, but wonders if it's normal for his brother to react this way. Deciding to play along, Min acts interested as well. Ma, noticing their reaction, thinks that he has the prophet under his control because of his youth and expects him to be impressed by Aaron's presence. After the greetings, Ma invites everyone to sit and enjoy the meal. At the table, Won eagerly passes the food to his brother. Ma asks Min if the food is to his liking, mentioning that he had requested the chefs to pay special attention to the preparation. Both Min and Won give their compliments, and Ma expresses his relief, noting that he had the chefs prepare the food several times to get it just right. Ma then asks why Min only brought his brother along and not the rest of his family. Min replies that his brother is his only family since their parents had passed away. Ma offers his condolences, but internally, he realizes that this question has unintentionally dampened the mood. Feeling the tension, he decides to remain silent for the moment, allowing his guests time to recover from the awkwardness. The silence in the room feels almost suffocating as dessert is served. Ma, sensing the heavy tension, struggles to find a way to ease the mood. Desperately, he looks toward Aaron, hoping she'll take the cue and spark some conversation, but she doesn't. Feeling the weight of the moment, Ma abruptly stands from his seat, asking Aaron to speak with him privately. He leads her to a hallway and asks if she enjoyed the meal. She responds with delight, but Ma's expression darkens as he stares at her, an unsettling look of disappointment in his eyes. He admits that he had invited her solely to keep the atmosphere cheerful, and she apologizes, explaining that she had thought she was simply invited to a party. Ma, not satisfied, presses her about what made her think she would be invited to such a grand occasion. He asks if Seong Chol had told her anything about the guest, to which she replies that he mentioned Min is the largest shareholder. Ma then reveals the shocking truth that Min is the majority shareholder, and more importantly, a prophet capable of seeing the future. With a cold, calculated tone, Ma emphasizes the importance of setting the right mood for Min, so he'll provide them with information about the next round. He demands that Aaron use her beauty to charm Min and win his favor. Aaron objects, reluctant to be used for such a purpose. But Ma counters by reminding her of how he made her a successful actress, and expects her to pay him back. He insists that she form a relationship with Min by any means necessary, and promises to keep a close watch on her progress. Back in the room, the atmosphere remains tense. Everyone is silent, unsure how to break the awkwardness. Ma opens the door, apologizing for the interruption and explaining that he had business matters to discuss with Aaron. He then suggests that they change locations now that they're done eating. As the group moves out of the room, Aaron attempts to approach Min but hesitates. Just then, Won, still starstruck, blurts out that he's a huge fan of hers, complimenting her beauty. He asks if he can take pictures with her, to which she agrees with a warm smile, momentarily easing the tension in the air. Seeing this, Ma quickly sends a message to Aaron, urging her to get closer to Min's younger brother. This makes her uncomfortable, as she feels like she's being asked to approach a pure-hearted fan with hidden motives. Ma believes that winning the younger brother's affection will automatically grab the older brother's attention, which will give him a chance to gather information about the next round. He leads them to a private room, offering them drinks and music, but Min declines and instead tells Aaron to go outside and take pictures with his brother. Once they're alone, Min looks at Ma and asks him if he really thinks the hero is an idiot. Ma tries to play it off, but Min reminds him that as a prophet, he already knows about his conversation with Aaron. After leaving Ma completely stunned, the protagonist firmly tells him that there's no need to hide anything from a prophet. Our hero turns to Ma and calls him out for trying to sneak something past them, which instantly throws the CEO into a panic. Min calmly repeats the same order he had given to Aaron earlier, but Ma rushes to twist it into sounding like a generous gesture. Things go south when Ma drags one into his little plan, clearly stepping over the line, and once he realizes it, he immediately apologizes and braces himself for whatever punishment might come next. Since the apology feels genuine, Min decides not to press the issue, and the CEO gratefully thanks him for being forgiving. Right then, Seong-chul bursts in and Ma quickly scrambles to hide everything that just happened. He turns to his manager and tells him to lead the group into the next room so he can have a private chat about something urgent. As the bodyguard quietly leaves, Ma starts mentally beating himself up for upsetting his prophet again. Our hero snaps him out of it and casually drops some info about the next round. Ma is floored that Min already knows the real reason behind the celebration, but with all the shady stuff happening, putting trust in the man doesn't come naturally. He apologizes again, but Min tells him there can't be any more secrets between them and makes it clear Ma needs to keep a tight handle on the other shareholders. Our hero's mood lights up when he sees how well-behaved the CEO suddenly became, and Min promises to take the company to new heights, even sharing details for round 5. He then lets him know this next round is going to be the toughest so far, though he figures Ma should handle it without too much trouble. He reveals that each player will have to take down 300 orcs in the upcoming round, but it won't be simple since the zones will start merging, which immediately puts the CEO on edge. Min continues that the zones are combining because there aren't enough players left, but Ma is already focused on meeting Black Scythe and asks if that's even possible. Min shuts the idea down right away since they won't be on the same map and refuses to share his real identity, though he assures Ma they'll be crossing paths very soon. He then brings up one last thing and asks how the search for Young Min is going, nearly giving the CEO a full-on stroke during the conversation. He talks about the power of the Foresight rune and tries to squeeze out more details, but our hero shuts him down and tells him to stay out of it. Ma tries pushing the issue further, but Min warns him not to go chasing after the gangster just yet, since he still plans to squeeze a few more uses out of him. Our hero manages to gaslight the CEO just enough, and they both agree to rejoin the party, though Ma is now even more tense than before. Once the party ends, an injured man is seen limping through a dark alley until he reaches a dead end, the sound of footsteps getting louder behind him. The NPC spins around in fear as the unknown attacker raises his sword and slashes him across the body, sending him crashing to the ground. The man screams as the mysterious figure, revealed to be the CEO, calmly threatens to slice off his tongue. He begs Ma for an explanation and asks why he's doing this, but the boss fires back by accusing him of unforgivable crimes against a child. The NPC tries to defend himself, but Ma stays silent and lets his blade do the talking. The not-so-poor man tries to scream again, but Ma threatens him to stay quiet or he'll make it hurt. The CEO calls him a good boy for listening and then calmly asks whether he still deserves to live. Right after, he activates his skill, and a wave of darkness rushes out which surrounds the man and swallows his body without leaving a single trace. Ma figures he would have finished the job quicker if he didn't still need to gather more dark mana, but using his powers means stealing life force from people while they're still breathing. Once he takes what he needs, he finishes the job with his sword and reflects on how he still questions his actions sometimes, even though humans give him far more mana than monsters. To ease that guilt, he sticks to targeting criminals only, which helps him feel like he's doing one thing right and proves that the class of Dark Knight fits him perfectly, especially since he treats it like a personal and oddly relaxing hobby. He orders his sword to keep feeding, but it refuses, and that's when it hits him it can only devour the living, not the dead. A sudden sound pulls Ma's attention, but it is just a cat casually roaming around. He hadn't expected anyone to show up anyway, since the alley usually stays abandoned during the day. Though he is quite sure our hero already knows what happened here. The fact that Min came to him despite knowing all that makes Ma crack a nasty grin, and he casually tells his little puppy to hurry over and clean up the mess right away. Later, our hero relaxes in his apartment with nothing going on as he quietly reviews his current situation. He decides it's finally time to stop waiting around and start taking action. Min subscribes to a channel he instantly recognizes, already thinking ahead as he sets his sights on one of the 5 legendary runes that can be found in the real world, the rune of cloning. The scene shifts to reports after reports about more players dying, but a greasy fat school kid is unimpressed as he labels them a bunch of noobs. He feels no remorse for the countless crimes committed by the players and thinks humans would have acted the same way. The ugly Oompa Loompa gets angry about all the restrictions imposed on him and uses them as an excuse to vent his frustration as he slams his axe into the ground. He realizes that none of this holds any importance anymore since he is a player after all and possesses the ability to destroy anyone he chooses. The classroom is filled with his victims, yet he feels no remorse for them whatsoever and decides to blame it on what happened in the 4th round. However, he did not earn much EXP from these ordinary humans and recalls just how much better the 4th round was for stacking up points. The student who is revealed to be Black Dragon decides to hunt players instead and immediately recalls the shady forum that connects them. He gets the devious idea of joining the group to use the players to farm his skills. The forum requests his personal information, and while he hesitates to provide it, he ultimately gives in to his greed. Black Dragon fills out the form and drools at the thought that the others will never catch on to his plan. Sometime later, the schoolboy stands outside a building in a remote area, wondering if he's even in the right spot. He checks the address on his phone, but panic hits him over how far out this place is. He decides he'll totally flex on the interviewer if they get off on the wrong foot, but he's shook by how modern the restaurant looks on the inside. A middle-aged man gets up from his seat, greets the chubby kid, and asks for his name. He introduces himself as a player and reveals that he's recently turned 29 years old, which blows Black Dragon's mind given the geezer's looks. The interviewer then introduces the fruity-looking player, Pink Hoodie, dressed in pink as the other applicant, and urges them to spill the tea about themselves. The chubby schoolboy sizes up the Rainbow Kid as they exchange greetings and wonders why this place feels so empty. The interviewer mentions this is exactly why he chose this spot, adding that the owner is whipping up some food for them in the kitchen. Black Dragon scans the shop and notices the absence of cameras. He thinks about whether to start his murder spree with these two, but decides against it, believing he can snag more players later, and instead asks why they haven't kicked things off yet. The interviewer explains that another candidate is running late, but just then, the speak of the devil comes true as the last applicant walks into the cafe and introduces himself as Black Scythe, nearly making the interviewer froth on sight. A few days ago, the forum president held a meeting with his members to talk about their new recruits. Nearly 2,000 players joined, even though the player count had taken a hit, as one member admires the article that brought them so much attention. One of the executives, Yami, claims it was her idea, and the president happily sings her praises, then asks how many skilled newbies are on board. He further asks to narrow the list down to useful players, which leads to Black Dragon's name popping up. Despite being ordinary, he always finishes in the top 3. The others find him a little sketchy, but ultimately decide to recruit him anyway. The forum members discuss some more promising players, and the president gets pumped seeing the number of recruits, only to realize that interviewing all of them will be a lot of hard work. The forum leader spots one of his members named 30 dozing off and gives him a proper earful. The overworked worker tries to excuse himself, but the president is having none of it, assigning him 50 interviews as punishment, which he reluctantly accepts. After that, the president asks his trusted executive, Lost Yark, if Black Scythe has contacted them yet. However, our hero hasn't done so, which leaves him feeling disappointed. With that, the executive turns back to Yami and asks her to get more articles, to which she readily agrees, but requests some cash in return. The president gives her the green light without a moment's hesitation, but just then, out of nowhere, an alert of a new recruit pops up. The president nonchalantly asks who it is, but as soon as Black Scythe's name is mentioned, everyone sits up in surprise. Back in the present, 30 immediately starts to suck up to the supposed #1 player and says he nearly turned gay by just seeing him. The imposter takes a seat while Black Dragon stares at him like he punched his grandma. The pink player greets the applicant as they all introduce themselves. The imposter's confidence amuses Pink Hoodie, who is actually the real Black Scythe in disguise. Black Dragon sweats buckets as he finally meets the top player and itches to ask why he bullied him so much during the previous quests. Mr. 30 asks the schoolboy why he is so quiet, which breaks him out of his thoughts, and he shyly introduces himself too. The player doesn't even give him a little bit of attention, which really ticks off Black Dragon, while the real Slim Shady wonders if he truly acts as arrogant as his imposter makes him out to be. You see, the imposter is actually a pro scammer who loves to con others, and if he manages to get his hands on the rune clone, he would cause some serious trouble. Min is relieved that he managed to catch up to him in time so he can snag the rune instead. Mr. 30 then starts the interview and asks them to confirm their personal information. Pink Hoodie begins with his details and lays it on thick as he claims to be a top-level assassin, even though it's all a lie. His username is the only real part since he copied it from an NPC. However, this fake identity is crucial for obtaining the rune as he must murder someone with it. After that, Black Dragon introduces himself as Sim Hyung Taek and is the youngest player among them, which pleasantly surprises the interviewer. But Min wonders if he would still be impressed if he knew what horrible things the schoolboy did to his classmates. Mr. 30 then asks if the achievements he listed are actually true, which slightly annoys Black Dragon. Next, the imposter, Kim In-hong, introduces himself as a 28-year-old fund manager and swipes all of our hero's achievements. The interviewer doesn't dare question his credibility, while Black Dragon knows his true scheme is to force other players to give him money. With that, their identities are confirmed, and Mr. 30 moves on with the actual interview, asking them their reasons for joining. Pink Hoodie pretends to be scared that others will target him and expresses a desire to feel safe. Black Dragon hides his true motives and simply agrees with what Min says, stating that he can't even go to school anymore without panicking. Meanwhile, the imposter tries to act like a Sigma, insisting that he is doing this because he wants to darn it, which the interviewer accepts without a doubt. Finally, the interviewer tells them there is one last thing they need to do to gain acceptance into the group. That is to commit some good old Assassin's Creed in real life. Min acts horrified at the suggestion, which leads Mr. 30 to begin a monologue about how the government has recently started targeting players because they fear them. He insists that players like them need to unite and fight back against the filthy commie government, since they're not little peasants who need to follow their laws, and they should show their resistance by not adhering to the regulations. Min delivers an Oscar-worthy performance while the interviewer insists that they absolutely must commit murder to prove they cannot be controlled. Our hero in disguise pretends to buy into the psycho's yapping as he continues explaining, and gives them a choice that they can leave now but they shouldn't expect to join again later. But Min knows this is just fake propaganda meant to keep the recruits from attempting to leave the organization. Everyone falls silent, which the interviewer takes as a sign of agreement and instructs them to get started. Black Dragon questions where they will find anyone to kill, but the psycho interviewer has apparently already prepared a target for them. As the party rises to leave, the owner suddenly appears from the kitchen and offers them to stay since they've rented the whole place. Mr. 30 quickly excuses them, claiming they are in a hurry, and asks her for a tiny favor instead. He asks the nice lady to bring his car around, and she happily agrees to do so. The boss takes an umbrella into the rain and drives his car to the front of the cafe, when suddenly, a pair of greasy hands wrap around her neck. She tries to fight back, but the unknown attacker quickly chokes her into unconsciousness. The players stare at the interviewer in horror, who tells them to quickly get inside and stop complaining, while Pink Hoodie realizes they are about to unalive the nice cafe owner. Old Man 30 drives them to an abandoned warehouse to complete the final steps of their interview. He leads them inside and drops the owner on the ground and asks who wants to go first. He looks at the fake black scythe, seeming like the natural choice, but our hero suddenly stops him and innocently asks if he can take a turn instead. Mr. 30 is amazed at the little pipsqueak for having this much courage and turns to Black Scythe, asking if he can pass this opportunity on to the little guy. Black Scythe agrees and steps back before calling out to the pink player and telling him he better be grateful for his generosity. Min thanks the imposter and assures him that he will make good use of the cloning rune. The guy stares at Min in confusion but has no time to react as Min suddenly grabs his face with both hands and twists his neck, which sends him into permanent sleep mode. The imposter's body hits the ground with a heavy thud as Mr. 30 stares in disbelief and completely loses it, gripping his head tightly while screaming at our hero. Min shoots him a death glare that immediately shuts him up, making him wonder how the little twink possibly managed to max out his aura all the way to Sigma levels. The system chimes in to congratulate him on unlocking the hidden rune from this location, which will now be automatically sealed onto his body, and that little detail makes him feel glad his ridiculous disguise didn't end up being a waste. The wrinkly 30-year-old demands an explanation, while our boy calmly puts on a mask and says he only got rid of a hot steaming pile of imposter trash. The interviewer still doesn't get it, and keeps shouting at him to explain why he went and destroyed Black Scythe. Min crouches down to remove the lady's blindfold and repeats what he said before, throwing in a casual roast to make sure the guy feels it. The interviewer asks him to repeat what he just said while pulling out his weapon, but his confidence vanishes the moment Min draws his scythe and fills the room with a crushing aura. Our hero casually throws another insult his way while Mr. 30 tries to make sense of the moment, noticing that the weapon seems oddly familiar. It finally clicks for Captain Obvious that only one type of player wields a blade like that, and he suddenly recalls Pink Hoodie's warning from earlier. With that, our hero turns to the confused interviewer and asks if his last two brain cells have finally caught on to what's really happening, and then offers a half-hearted apology for lying to him before. Mr. 30 immediately drops his weapon in fear, falls to his knees, and starts begging Daddy Min for mercy. Min rejects the apology and swings his scythe, cutting off his subscription to having a head. The severed football rolls to Black Dragon's feet, who lets out a scream as he realizes our hero is way out of his league. Our hero turns and points his scythe at the last man still standing, then asks Hyung-taek if he has any final wishes. The schoolboy refuses to beg for his life like a coward, and instead brings up something that's been bothering him for a while. Black Scythe instantly guesses it's about the last round, specifically why he completely wiped the floor with him, and explains that he did it because he sees Black Dragon as his rival. Min admits that the player is indeed strong, and he wants to get rid of him while he is still weak. After that, Black Scythe asks if he has anything else to say, but Black Dragon is too scared to speak. Hyungtaek barely manages to ask one more question. Why does he have to die too? To which Min says it's pretty obvious he stinks worse than poo and wastes oxygen with every breath. The schoolboy reasons with our hero that he is innocent, so Min decides to let Tubby go. Black Dragon lights up with joy, but Min tells the oversized Snorlax to hand over everything he owns if he wants to keep breathing. After a quick inventory swipe, our hero takes a moment to admire the impressive pile of loot in front of him, while the chubby schoolboy insists he doesn't have anything else left. Min doesn't seem to doubt him, but only takes the 2 crystals and leaves the rest untouched, since the rest of it is pretty much useless to him. Fat Boy then asks if he's free to go, and Min stays true to his word. As the player begins to spam Bo like crazy, it starts to get on Min's nerves, and he tells him to knock it off and behave better in the future. Black Scythe walks away from the pile of bodies and decides to take the woman with him, and when the schoolboy offers to lend a hand, Min tells him to beat it. As our hero walks off, Hyungtaek takes a deep breath to calm himself, feeling a bit lucky that he only lost some gear instead of his life. Still, the schoolboy feels ticked off that he got robbed for no reason when he hadn't done anything wrong. He glares at our hero with frustration as a sneaky idea starts creeping into his head, one that involves taking revenge. Now that Min looks vulnerable, he figures this could be the perfect chance to strike and boost his stats through the roof. Going against all common sense, he decides he's going to throw hands with the main character, because if he doesn't try now, he knows he'll regret it later. The chubby schoolboy slowly creeps up behind him with a weapon in hand and silently prays that our hero doesn't turn around and notice. The moment he gets close enough, he slams his axe into Min's back and sends him crashing face first into the ground. Black Dragon bursts into laughter like a total maniac, celebrating what he believes is an easy win, and starts mocking the supposedly lifeless body while stomping on it over and over again. He thanks the dead body for the free points, but he quickly starts panicking when no points actually show up. The chubby player starts sweating bullets, realizing he hasn't leveled up and has no clue what's going wrong. Out of nowhere, Black Scythe materializes right behind him and asks the school kid what exactly he thinks is happening here. His sheer voice nearly causes Bacon Boy to have an accident in his pants. After that, Black Dragon turns his head with his face locked in fear while our hero tips his hoodie and mocks him by asking if he's seen a ghost. The poor schoolboy's body begins to shake uncontrollably as he starts wondering whether Min actually has a revival skill. He steps back and glances behind him, only to see that the body he struck earlier has vanished into thin air. So Black Scythe casually explains that what he really did was just erase a clone he created using the rune of cloning. Our hero enjoys the fact that even if it's a sitting duck, the decoy still proves useful, and he decides it made for a fun little prank. Then the schoolboy gets furious that he was fooled so easily, but Min reminds him that he's not the only one who got played here. Black Dragon tries to argue his case, but Min doesn't care as he calls out his own weapon and swings faster than Hyungtaek's mind can even catch up and becomes yet another victim of sudden head loss syndrome. With that, our hero uses Levi's special cleaning skill to wipe away all traces of evidence before heading over to the woman who's still peacefully napping on the floor. He tells the cafe owner to stop pretending and get up since he can already read her thoughts anyway. The poor woman apologizes, gets up, and asks if she can finally take the bag off her head, but Min tells her to hold on just a little longer. Our protagonist stays calm as he tells her to answer his questions and follow every one of his instructions. Then he asks whether she remembers any of her customers' faces. She replies that the only one she really saw was the interviewer since they talked face to face, but the others she can't recall at all. Min taps into his mind-reading power and confirms that she's telling the truth, so he tells her to relax and not worry. Black Scythe adds that she should head straight home and never speak a word of this to anyone unless she wants to bring even more trouble on herself. After that, Min tells her to count to 60 before she leaves. That next minute drags on like an hour, but at last she's free, and as she looks around the empty building, she starts to wonder if it's all just a strange dream. Later, the apartment comes into view as Min returns home and finds his brother already waiting near the entrance. One spots that our protagonist is wearing one of his hoodies and instantly demands to know what's going on. Min shrugs off the question and acts tired, but his little brother keeps pressing him for answers. Once food comes up, Min tells him to go wild and order whatever he wants, though in truth he's more fixated on the hoodie since even though it's clean, he's just not ready to give it back. After that, our hero dumps the murder evidence while Juan instantly makes a move to recover his beloved possession. Min promises to get him something way better than that old worn-out piece of cloth, but his little brother still feels betrayed and throws on the saddest puppy face he can manage. The little brother says it's fine anyway since schools are shut for now, which makes Min realize it must be incredibly dull being stuck indoors all the time. So he offers to take Juan to an amusement park the next day, which instantly brightens his mood. Juan jumps with excitement, and Min agrees to take him along if he promises to go to bed early like a well-behaved kid. Moving on to the next day, One's face beams with happiness as he sees all the rides again after such a long time and gets hit with a wave of nostalgia, though Min regrets not bringing him here earlier. Our hero feels surprised that the place is still up and running and understands that hope is just as vital as survival. The little brother spots a family in bunny ears and suddenly gets a mischievous idea while Min is still lost in deep thought. One grabs his brother and drags him into the store where our fruity hero ends up wearing a pair of animal ears and asks what he looks like. The little brother instantly begins fangirling over Min and then excitedly runs off to explore the rest of the store while Min proudly flashes his Platinum Express premium card. Once their shopping spree wraps up, Min asks what he wants to do next. One takes full advantage and declares that they're going to try everything. A bunch of rides later, they stop at a petting zoo where Juan nearly gushes at how cute the baby pandas are, while Min is happy his brother is not depressed anymore. However, being the worrying little guy he is, he asks him if it is all right to be out here when the quest is tomorrow. Min reassures his brother and tells him not to worry, and that he will be knocked out for 10 hours this time. One tries to argue, but Min pats his head while silently promising to never leave him alone and asks him if he wants to go on the safari next. Sometime later, the duo gets back to their apartment, and out of nowhere, Min's phone starts ringing. He checks it and sees that it's Jury wishing him good luck, which makes him realize she must be feeling pretty anxious. That's when our hero makes yet another promise that he will protect her and sets his phone down as the clock hits 12. After that, everyone ends up in the other world where all the players have been teleported onto some dark planes. A few of the guys start wondering if some players are missing since the place feels a little too empty. Min overhears them and figures it's bound to feel that way because they started with over 10,000 players, though he knows that feeling will fade soon. Just then, the angel shows up and congratulates everyone for making it this far while the players shoot her annoyed looks. She notices all the gloomy faces and starts mocking them, asking where all that murdering passion from the last round disappeared to. The angel doesn't get any decent answer and decides to quit joking around, then points out that out of 520 players, 80 are gone due to real-life conflicts. That makes the angel admit she doesn't care what the humans are doing in real life, but to keep the show exciting, they clearly needed more people. She flashes a nasty grin and with eager eyes tells them she has a surprise lined up just for them. A player asks Olive the angel what the integration means, which annoys her. She explains that there are 875 maps in their nation alone, which catches everyone off guard. She continues, saying that other nations have even more maps, and people rationalize this considering their populations. The players then ask if there's one angel for each map, which she confirms. One player then assumes that the game wasn't created by the angels, leaving Olive stunned. She asks why he thinks that, and he responds that it would be impossible for thousands of angels to work together on a single game. Olive swoops down like a falcon, telling him that he's wrong and warning him not to ask unnecessary questions, or else he'll be killed. After intimidating the guy, Olive rises, and our hero realizes there must be a rule preventing the angels from speaking about the creator. He speculates that an angel who can be killed by players wouldn't have the power to create a game like this. Olive announces that she won't be answering any more questions, and the players should focus on surviving instead of wasting her time. She then declares that the integration is about to begin because the number of players is too small. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking, and a blinding yellow light floods square-shaped areas, causing the players to panic. Finally, new players from other maps begin to spawn in those areas, and the players stare in awe as 10 different angels appear in the same map. The angels explain that 10 smaller maps with fewer players have now merged into one larger map, which now has 4,844 players. The new map is named CSK007, and it contains players from all over Korea. The players feel relieved that they can now communicate with other Korean players, and one person suggests that they might get merged with players from other nations later on. The hero knows that whenever the player count falls below 500, maps will merge, and eventually they'll have to face players from other nations as well. He realizes that competing against foreign players is inevitable, but for now, he decides to focus on the present since the angels are about to announce a bonus game. The angels explain that every map had a representative, and now the new map needs one. Olive declares that the 10 previous representatives will have to fight until only one remains alive, who will become the new representative. Some players find this cruel, while others think it will be an entertaining spectacle. The representatives of each map are worried about losing their lives. Black Scythe knows that being a representative will bring greater rewards in the upcoming rounds. The angel reassures everyone that losing in the bonus round won't result in death, and that they'll be respawned afterward, which gives the players some comfort. Olive goes on to explain that the new representative will have the ruler ability instead of the command ability. This ability will allow them to rule over any player with a rank lower than theirs, regardless of their profession. However, the ability can only be used 10 times, and any player can kill them to become the new representative. Olive tempts them with the reward, and the representatives seem increasingly motivated by the idea of ruling others. Meanwhile, the angels realize that after the maps merge, they'll need to choose a representative among themselves as well. One angel asks if anyone would like to volunteer for the position, but each angel hesitates. Since no one steps forward, they decide to brainstorm other ways to select a representative. One angel suggests they roll a dice, but the others dismiss the idea, thinking it would be too boring. Another angel proposes they take turns, but the problem with that is the angels who go last might never get the chance to be a representative, especially since the maps will merge again. Then, the angel Priscilla suggests that they let the map representatives fight, and the angel whose player dies first will become the guide for the humans. The other angels agree to this, but Olive has a different idea. She proposes that the angel whose player wins the bonus round will become queen of all the angels. Olive explains that the queen will have the power to decide which angel will guide the humans, and the other angels will have to follow her orders. The other angels are intrigued by this proposal, while Priscilla points out that Olive has made a bold statement and seems quite confident in her player. She brags that her player has never lost his first rank in the local map since the first round. Olive smiles back, thinking that if Priscilla knew her player was Black Scythe, she wouldn't be so sure of herself. Priscilla and the other angels agree to the terms, and Olive descends to announce the start of the game. She calls all the map representatives under her. After the players gather, Olive summons an arena from beneath them and explains that the game will continue until only one player remains standing. The survivors will be revived, except for those who die outside the arena. The game begins, and everyone summons their weapons. One player notices that no one is making the first move and wonders why they're all being so cautious. He thinks that since all of them are map representatives, they must be extremely talented. At the same time, he overestimates himself because of his rune of dissolution, which skins his enemies alive if his sword manages to touch them. He's relying on his sword moving like an aimbot. The angels begin to grow frustrated as they wonder why the humans aren't fighting. The player, confused, finally decides to make the first move. Confident that he's the strongest in the arena, he believes that if he makes a strong impression, the other players will be too scared to challenge him. So, he draws his sword and searches for someone to make an example of. He takes an offensive stance, waiting for someone to step up, and unfortunately for him, the hero steps forward to face him. The player sees this as an easy target and notices that the hero's weapon is a massive scythe. It's a rare sight, since he's only ever seen people with scythe in their names, not wielding the weapon itself. He glances at the hero's nickname, and as soon as he reads Black Scythe, panic sets in. He immediately lowers his sword, wondering if this could be the legendary hero who ranked first in the world map in all the rounds. The angels, watching the player, are taken aback by his sudden loss of confidence. They turn to Priscilla and ask if this player is her map representative. Priscilla nervously bites her nail, puzzled by her human's frozen stance, but before she can respond, Olive bursts out laughing. Priscilla snaps at her, but Olive explains that it's simply amusing to see her representative quiver in fear before Olive's human. Priscilla glances at the hero and acknowledges that the scythe does make an impression, but it's not enough to freeze someone in place. She asks Olive if her human is scared, and Olive casually agrees. Priscilla dismisses it as nonsense and reminds everyone that her representative had held the first rank continuously in her local map. But Olive quickly shatters her confidence by revealing that the hero, Black Scythe, has held the first rank on the world map since the game began. Priscilla scoffs, calling it a lie, but Olive calmly tells her to look at the hero's nickname and figure it out for herself. The angels immediately recognize the name, and Priscilla, her confidence faltering, nervously bites her lip, realizing her representative might not even stand a chance against Black Scythe. In that moment, the angels are shocked as the other player is swiftly decapitated before he can even react. Olive declares Priscilla out of the game, and Priscilla stands silent, disbelief washing over her. The players now cower in fear, realizing the vast rank difference between them and Black Scythe. It quickly dawns on them that they can't win, even if they all attacked him at once. Black Scythe begins to move, and panic sets in among the players. They start flattering him, telling him they're honored to meet him, but when that doesn't work, they put away their weapons and announce they forfeit, turning to the angels. The angels are enraged by this display of cowardice and consider it disgraceful. One angel threatens to blow up the head of any player who surrenders without the privilege of being respawned. Fear ripples through the players as they hastily summon their weapons. One player, trying to muster some courage, declares that they could win if they work together. Black Scythe looks at them with disappointment, seeing how they are more afraid of the angels than of him. He watches as they prepare to gang up on him, a small smile creeping onto his face as he considers them as weak as insects. The other players, feeling insulted, yell back, declaring that they were the top rankers of their maps too. With their pride on the line, they charge towards him, throwing everything they've got into the attack. Black Scythe swings his scythe with impressive speed, making quick work of all the zone leaders as he rushes through them, leaving other players staring at the scene in shock. Our hero flashes past them, catching fades left and right, while the angels observe in both surprise and horror. The divine beings begin to mutter about how swiftly this fight concludes, while one golden lady crowns Olive the victor and names her the new queen among them. Just then, the red-haired angel Priscilla lashes out at Olive and refuses to back down as she accuses her of playing dirty. Olive doesn't deny the accusation, and the red-haired psycho tries to rile the others against Olive, claiming she already anticipated this outcome. Our hero's angel counters that this is exactly why she suggested they hold a competition, and points out that everyone joined with full knowledge. The other angels also support her statements, putting the red-haired angel in the spotlight as Olive mocks her for acting like a crybaby. She continues to taunt Priscilla, daring her to take a swing, which would lower herself to the status of a human, while threatening to tell the head angel. This makes the red-haired angel shudder as memories of the punishment she faced in the insect dungeon flash through her mind, causing her to calm down almost instantly. With that, Olive issues her punishment and commands Priscilla to guide the humans. Priscilla tries to ask how long this will last, but our zone's angel only nags her further. The red-haired angel flies towards the ground, regretting the bet she made earlier. Meanwhile, the system informs our hero that he is now the new zone representative, while the crowd gathered nearby mumbles about how much more powerful Black Scythe has become, deciding it's best not to provoke him. Priscilla then revives the dead players, who wake up confused and start wondering what the heck just happened to them as they recall their final moments. The red-haired angel fills them in on the current situation and informs them that they will be losing their representative powers now. She advises them not to feel too sad since they know how to get it back. As the bonus round concludes, the angel goes on to explain the main quest. Suddenly, quest windows pop up in front of each player, revealing that they need to kill 300 orcs each, and the passing rate has been severely decreased, which leads to complaints from the crowd. Infuriated, Priscilla lashes out at them for their constant whining and threatens to lower the passing rate even more, effectively silencing all the players. She adds that since the previous rounds have been too easy, the difficulty level has now been set to legendary. Some players question how tough this quest could possibly be, while the angel simply tells them to wait and see. Another NPC asks about the subquest and its reward, to which Priscilla replies that the hidden quest has been revealed this time, but the reward will remain a secret. Min looks at the winged creature in disgust for always withholding information and recalls that the reward for this round is the Rune of Balance, an incredibly important power-up, which only one person per zone can actually obtain. Of course, it's possible for other players to earn this rune too, but achieving that is nearly impossible. Even if a player manages to clear the subquest, meeting the conditions to earn it remains quite challenging. The angel then reveals to the crowd the hidden quest that they need to collect all balance stones. However, only one person can actually receive the reward. This means that if one person fails to find all 4 stones, then no one gets the reward. Priscilla cracks a wicked smile and reminds them that it's always possible to steal the stones from others. The players keep pestering her with questions, and she clarifies that they can only steal the balance stones and nothing else. She also lets them know that they have used up all their free revives for this round. With that, Priscilla encourages them to give it their all before vanishing into the sky as a timer appears above the players. Our hero is still irritated with the bothersome angels but decides to start farming the orcs and aims to set a new record, after which he plans to assist Jury with her kills. He then descends from the platform into the crowd and walks through them, almost sending the guys into a full-on panic. The players feel a sense of relief as he passes by peacefully and wonder whether they should follow him or not. Some players hesitate, but others argue that Min consistently stays 10 steps ahead, so there must be a method to his madness. Many of them feel anxious about getting caught, while one NPC suggests keeping a safe distance at all times. One of the previous zone representatives gets pumped up and tells them they can either step up or eat dust as he walks away from the clearing. Meanwhile, the rest of the group seriously questions if this is the best idea, but they push aside their fears and decide to go after Black Scythe anyway, beginning to trust that the pro actually knows what he is doing. After that, our hero makes it to what looks like a small orc village tucked deep in the woods, and the gang of losers chasing after him act like they're impressed by this scrappy little backwater place, while they watch Black Scythe take on the first orc and wipe it out like it's nothing more than small fry. The giant pig of a thing collapses like a sack of potatoes, and he heads straight into the center of the village, where it seriously looks like they're all getting ready to grill up some juicy barbecued meat. The moment they spot him, every orc around goes absolutely crazy and pulls out their weapons. The ground starts shaking hard as 3 massive monsters charge straight at our hero, but he stands his ground without a hint of fear and slices off the first one's head like he's already collected 3 heads on his scythe. Then, the other 2 try smashing him into a pancake for dessert, but Min swings his scythe again and clears out every house in the village until not a single orc remains. Seeing this, the others think that orcs are not that threatening, even though the homeless guy suggests that Black Scythe isn't an average scrub like them, and says they should look for another village and follow in Black Scythe's footsteps. As expected, the useless scum are already scheming to use the close combat classes as cannon fodder while they hang back and steal the last hits for themselves. Either way, they stumble across another village that's way bigger this time and even has a proper lookout. The orc standing up on the tower doesn't waste a second before blowing his battle horn, which echoes loudly across the massive village. That sound throws the whole party into chaos, and the panic only escalates when a crapload of hulking monsters pour out of the houses like a raging swarm of bees. It takes almost no time at all for them to surround the dozen or so players, and that's when everyone finally realizes the village didn't look big just for decoration. The cowardly sorcerer nervously asks what they're supposed to do, and the swordsman tells him it's pretty damn obvious they've got to fight if they want to keep their skin. As the orcs rush into attack, the guys charge full throttle, assuming they're only dealing with oversized goblins, and when one dude manages to knock aside the orc's massive club, his confidence instantly skyrockets as he gets all hyped, thinking these things are actually pretty bad at fighting. He thrusts his sword right into the monster's chest with a smug grin, but that fades fast when he realizes the blade's stuck like his sister in the washing machine. The orc responds with a filthy smack across his face using its club, sending him into permanent sleep mode, and after that, the rest of the party gets picked off slowly one at a time. Only this time there's no respawn button to save them. Meanwhile, Min feels pretty satisfied knowing those annoying bugs who thought they were sneaky invisible ninjas have finally lost his trail. He figures they should be fine anyway since there were like 20 of them. But the thought hits him hard that even those numbers would get clapped if they ever messed with the big villages that hold over 200 orcs. On top of everything else, orcs are packed with thick, beefy muscle that grabs onto weapons and makes it nearly impossible to yank them back out, which is why players are better off aiming at the neck, since that's the thinnest part. That said, it doesn't matter for our guy, who can just stroll right up to an orc and knock it out with a clean one-shot using the back of his scythe. After that, Min opens the system window to check that he's gotten 300 of them in an hour, and is the first in all regions to do so. Having claimed the top spot, he figures it's time to go check in on Jury next, so he activates his tracking skill to find her location. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Bandana Guy turns to his leader and asks if he's doing all right. The slightly smarter party starts to understand that orcs aren't just pigs walking around on two legs. Their leader Cho Yong-ho then asks Bandana Guy for a status update, and he replies that they've taken down 50 so far. Yong-ho runs some quick math and realizes they're moving way too slow for 5 people to qualify, and one of his members reminds him this isn't just disqualification, so it's basically game over. The boss lets out a sigh and tells his team they've got no choice now but to throw hands with a larger orc village, which makes his men nervous since they barely survived fighting just 3 at once. Their tank suggests it would be safer to keep farming the smaller villages, but Yong-ho tells them they're crawling along at a snail's pace, and even if they'll be fighting with their lives on the line, it's a risk they've got to take. He pulls out a quote from Lionheart and tells his men there's no point in staying aboard a sinking boat. They then move quietly through the eerie, shadow-filled forest until one of the guys points out a village he swears he's seen before. He quickly warns their leader that he can spot a scout posted near the entrance, so Young-ho suggests they loop around the area to avoid getting spotted. The gang slips past the orcs like they're playing Assassin's Creed on the lowest difficulty, and eventually come across a fence with a noticeable gap in it. One of the NPCs takes a quick look through the opening and reports back that he doesn't think there are any guards patrolling the area. With that cue, they begin squeezing through the gap one by one and quietly spread out to get a better look at the enemy's setup. A scout mentions that there should be about 5 orcs holed up in each hut, which ends up being way more than their leader was expecting. So the blonde guy suggests they try to ambush each hut separately instead of rushing in all at once. Yong-ho gives him the green light and the group gathers outside one of the orc huts, hyping themselves up like they're about to kick down a drug den door on a cop show. Shaking from head to toe in sheer intimidation, they slowly push through the hanging curtains and reach a massive wooden door. The moment their leader signals them, the gang bursts in, only to immediately regret all their life choices when they realize there's nearly double the number of orcs lounging around like bored cavemen. Seeing them arrive, one of the jacked orcs blurts out Unga Bunga and instantly puts all of them on high alert. Yong-ho's guy turns to the leader and asks for orders before they all get obliterated, and the leader replies that they should at least try taking one down first. He then leads them in a charge toward the one on the left, so their tank holds back its attack just long enough for the swordsman to slash its leg, letting Bandana Guy finish it off, showing off the kind of teamwork every League player dreams of. Watching one of their comrades slam into the floor like a sack of potatoes sends the rest of the orcs into a frenzy as they dive straight at the gang, roaring like they're saying everyone's about to be pancakes in a few seconds. One orc throws a bone-crushing punch at Bandana Guy's shoulder, which makes him drop to his knees in pain and leaves him totally exposed. But Yong-ho shows who's boss and refuses to let that slide, stabbing his sword right into the orc's thick, girthy black neck and dropping it to the floor in an instant. As the other orcs begin grunting with rage, the party pulls together back to back. Yang-ho eyes the 8 remaining walking hulks and starts to wonder if his crew can really take them when the tank suddenly gives up and yells at everyone to just run for it. With no hesitation, they all take off running while the orcs come charging right after them. After a few moments, they find themselves completely surrounded, which makes the injured bandana guy think their time is officially up. But Yang-ho gathers up some aura and tells his pathetic teammates to man up, while the ones who've clearly given up already start saying their goodbyes. Their leader points out that the orcs didn't finish them off fast and tells them to look at those smug faces full of cocky grins and pride dripping from their ugly mugs. Yang-ho says they're being laughed at for acting like a bunch of sissies and asks if they don't feel even the slightest bit of shame. He faces the monster that's twice his size and tells his men to take them head on and fall in a way that at least shows some honor. This lights a fire under his team again, while the orcs start cracking up like they're watching monkeys trapped in a cage. Still, Yang-ho tells his crew to strike the one he points at once he gives the signal, but right after they brace for it, all of the orcs suddenly scatter like ants in a storm. Their attention snaps toward a fire in the distance, and the guys wonder what could be out there that even sends orcs running like terrified prey. Seeing the opportunity, Yang-ho tells them to stay focused because they finally have a shot now that only 8 orcs are left. After several brutal minutes pass, the men manage to bring down every last one of the monsters, and they thank their leader for giving them hope right when they were about to give up. Playing it cool as always, Yang-ho says he couldn't have done any of it without his homies and checks on his injured guy who honestly looks like a total crack addict. Yang-ho takes command again and tells the squad to stash their busted-up buddy somewhere safe while he goes ahead to check the path. With that, he starts moving toward the place that was burning not long ago. As he rounds the corner, he starts to think it's weird how everything suddenly went quiet and how not a single monster has shown up. The man walks through the village and glances around when something appears that completely stuns him. Scattered around the ground are battered orc corpses that give off a strange aura. As he steps through the scene, he wonders who could have caused all this chaos when his eyes land on a man dressed in all black. It doesn't take long for him to realize it's Black Scythe, who looks a little surprised that anyone else is still in the village. But the real shock hits when he reads the player name and realizes the man is Cho Yang-ho, better known as the Mercenary King. It gets explained that Mercenary is a close combat class able to wield various weapons like warriors, but their real edge comes from forming contracts with allies or the Mercenary King himself. As the only guy with this class at the time, Yang-ho holds a unique power where both sides earn bonus rewards through contracts, making it a clean win-win deal. Min can hardly believe he's meeting this guy by pure chance and starts walking over like a shy girl. He catches himself and tries to plan how to talk to the top-ranked player while our boy throws him a harsh glare without meaning to, all while thinking the man truly looks like someone who deserves the class with that natural leader aura. Yang-ho asks if he's the one who wrecked all those orcs, and the man says yes. The leader starts sweating and bows quickly to show his thanks for saving the party from a certain wipe, though our boy admits he didn't even know they were there. Still, Yang-ho thanks him again for the help, and Min tells him he should get his men out before more orcs show up. The Mercenary King starts to sweat as he asks how the man knows about his allies. Min casually glances behind him at the goofy bunch who came running after their kind-hearted leader out of pure concern. Our hero quietly takes in the mercenaries Yang-ho probably formed contracts with and finds it impressive that the Mercenary King managed to gather loyal teammates so early in the game. As they all stare at the top-ranked player, Shield Guy, and the others start freaking out over what Black Scythe could be doing way out here, and he replies that he's been farming the balance stones. Knowing the mid-boss will show up once the village gets wiped, our hero tells them to clear out, and the group of fanboys happily obeys his word. Just as they turn to leave, Shield Guy says he heard something off. After a few seconds, the noise grows loud enough that everyone hears it, and our hero tells them to run now because the mid-boss is on its way. Yang-ho doesn't catch the warning over the thunderous sound, but all voices go quiet when a massive orc with a terrifying aura begins to march right toward them.